Now, once the order is placed, Commercial goes right to work on it. First off, a copy of the order with all the details is sent to the plant department. There, a clerk assigns the necessary facilities to do the job, including central office lines and outside equipment. Simultaneously, directory, traffic, and accounting people receive identical copies of the order, so they can prepare their records for the new customer. The plant installation copy of that order comes to me, and I assign the work to you fellows each morning. Now, while you were hooking up the line for Mrs. Gardner's phone, the frame man in the central office was connecting it to the switching equipment. That gives us the circuit that makes it possible for Mrs. Gardner to pick up her phone and call to a friend across town, or across the nation.
Well, that's part of the story, Ted. Lots more, of course. But maybe it's given you some little background on how a few of the departments work together.
It sure helps, Jack. But boy, I've got a lot to learn, haven't I?
We've all got a lot to learn, Ted.
You never stop learning in this business. And you understand your own job better when you know how other departments operate. For instance, the commercial department. In addition to servicing new customers, such as Mrs. Gardner, also handles the payments of the customers' bills. It has the further responsibility of forwarding the names of new subscribers to the printer for the telephone directory. Every name, address, and number is carefully checked and rechecked for absolute accuracy. It is an exacting task every step of the way. As they say, it's something for the book. The book, in this case, being the most widely used volume of the year. Commercial also collects the money from public telephones that serve my town in stores, factories, transportation centers, and even along the highways. Then there are the telephone salesmen. They have the job of calling on business customers and suggesting the type of telephone system that will best serve the customer's business needs. Directory advertising salesmen also call on business customers and show how Yellow Pages advertising can help them. They plan the kind of layouts that attract buyers and boost sales for the advertiser. The service that telephone people give can be as immediate as right now. It can seek and answer the needs of today. It can plan the needs of tomorrow. And the needs of tomorrow are a service responsibility of the engineers. They have the job of looking ahead, of anticipating how and where my town is going to grow, so the telephone plant can be installed efficiently and economically and be ready when the customer needs it. They decide where telephone cable will be installed, how it will be installed, underground or overhead, and how much of it will be needed. Should it be a 200-pair cable or a 400-pair cable? They have to make sure there's enough equipment in the central office to handle the switching of the calls and plan cables for routing long-distance calls. The engineers also work directly with builders in my town to be sure the telephone service will be ready for customers when they move into their new homes.
Houses run $20,000 to $25,000, and I've got the men out working and figure to have them finished by spring.
In other words, you want to be ready for immediate telephone installation when the houses are completed.
Definitely.
Well, here's the situation, Mr. Palmer. We've got enough feeder cable coming up to this area, but we've still got to get our poles and distribution cables in place for wiring to the houses.
I had no idea there was so much involved.
Well, that's why we appreciate this advance notice. You know, some builders don't include us in their plans, and then the new homeowners have to wait for their telephones.
We don't want that to happen here. We want phones available when our houses go up.
You can count on us. We'll be ready.
In just such fashion, telephone planning and construction work go hand in hand as my town grows and expands. Poles are set. cables strung. Terminals go in. A communication pattern develops that serves the growing needs of my town. And to give my town the top telephone service it needs and expects takes a lot of money. And that's where accounting comes in. It has to keep track of all the money spent and received so that the company may know where it stands financially. All bills and invoices come to accounting for checking. And they keep all the cost records necessary to prepare the company's financial reports. They have charge of the records that document the location, the type, and the size of telephone plant. And here, too, are prepared the paychecks, an event of never-failing interest to every employee of the company. Accounting also prepares and mails the customer's bills. And there's more to that than the mere say-so. An array of data processing equipment handles a customer's bill, from the first step of listing the customer's name and address, through the successive stages of computing the bill and preparing it for mailing. All over town, telephones are bringing people together.
Bradford's Jewelry? May I speak to Mr. Bradford, please?
Thank you, Mrs. Chase. I'll have the order over in about an hour.
Hi. Going to the dance? My town gym. Sure.
Arnold speaking. Why, hello, Pete. How's things in my town?
Things are pretty good in my town. There's a sense of growing prosperity, growing pride, growing happiness. And the telephone company is a grateful participant. Now, we've seen the parts played by the various operating departments, such as traffic, whose operators handle many of the calls. Plant, which installs and maintains the equipment. Engineering, where all the planning and designing are done. Commercial, which is responsible for many customer services. And finally, accounting, where all the financial records are prepared. Working in support of these operating units are the company's staff departments, such as personnel. Personnel helps to develop and train people in all levels of employment. They handle benefit and pension plans, pleasant reminders of earlier days. They also watch over the health of the employees and arrange for medical attention whenever they need it. An equally important staff section is the legal department, which checks all company contracts and represents the company in court actions. Public relations is also one of the company staff departments. It is largely responsible for keeping the public informed about the company. Its members write news releases for the community newspapers. They also prepare newspaper advertisements that promote various telephone services. And they coordinate activities that deal with radio or television shows. They prepare films and other programs for employee and public groups. And they take part in arranging telephone open houses to which the people of the community are invited. The preparation of the company magazine is also the responsibility of public relations.
Well, Mike, we've had our problems in putting this together, but there have been many excellent comments.
That's the reassuring part of it, Mr. Bolton. Now I think we've reached the point where we need a good story to wrap the whole thing up. Now, I have some ideas I'd like to talk over with you.
Good. Let's see now. The previous articles have covered all phases of our company's operations.
That's correct. And now that we've explained what we do, I think we should show how we fit into the big picture. how we're backed up by AT&T, Western Electric, and the Bell Labs.
AT&T, Western Electric, Bell Telephone Laboratories. Magic names in communications the world over.